Hi, my name's Sparrow, and today I'm going to have a look at the worm spawn because the new patch notes for the experimental branch suggest that we can now get it. And I have tested it. It does seem that it's possible to get it now. Let's have a quick look at where we are in the experimental branch at the moment. Hi, Ignition. Good to see you. Right, so let me just pull that up on the screen. The browser. There we go. So the current experimental branch has been going since the 16th of June, and there were quite a few changes to settlements, and in general they've been trying to fix settlements. They really didn't release Beacon in a great place. There were so many things that were kind of holding it back. Even yesterday was today in the most recent branch, there are things here that really should have been picked up beforehand. So it's a little bit disappointing that this update was quite so not necessarily bug ridden. I mean, I know some people as normal had problems with being able to run them, but it's just disappointing that so many things weren't quite working as they should, which is, for instance, if we look at the 16th, tower building, that's an addition. We can now get distress signals, so we can find crash ships. We can take a look at it. I haven't looked at today's branch yet, so I'm going to have a look. Put that on the screen. I'll have a look at it. It mentions textures, but I'm not holding out hope that they've actually fixed the blurriness. We'll see. And so on the 16th, they added distress signals to the towers, which is quite nice. Although I played around with it and I only seemed to find one crash point. So I don't know if that changes each day. Fixed an issue that prevented the settlement marker from appearing if a mission corresponded. Settlement terminals are now the name and class of their association. But this one's actually really nice. We can now scan using the analysis visor and see the class of each building. Fix the collision of the central monument in autophase. If we could walk straight through it, that has been fixed and works quite well. Fix an issue that caused internal roof sections of settlement buildings to display the wrong trim. Didn't really notice that, but I guess. Fixed an issue that prevented settlement decisions from awarding their full happiness values. This is what I was looking for. The fact that we weren't getting the full happiness value, it makes a huge difference to the way that the settlements play. So, for instance, beforehand, it was taking off any negative trait that included minus happiness from every single decision you made. So you would say, choose something that made them happy, and it would say +5 happiness, and you'd only get +1 or 2 happiness each time. So, hi, Alphas. So now they've fixed that, you'll do something to get happiness, and all of a sudden you'll get like 10 happiness quite quickly, and your happiness rating goes up much quicker than it was going up, and it feels like it was always supposed to do that. And then camera proper. Come on, over here, and then over here. Okay, and then today a very similar thing. If I can find it. Yeah, this is one that we all noticed almost immediately. Fix an issue that caused removing citizens from settlements to alter the maximum population instead of the current population. So you'd do something like you'd choose an option to increase population, but it wouldn't increase your population. It would just increase your maximum population. And again, that's the kind of thing, that's a simple algorithm that should have been tested and made sure it worked when introducing a settlement update, but it was missed. So these things have been very frustrating, and they're getting there. And I'm not going to knock it because, let's face it, I've always wanted a settlement update, and we've got one, and they're now working on settlements and introducing new things, and I'm really happy with that. But I just wish they'd kind of ironed out a few of these bugs before they put it in. Anyway, so in answer, and let's have a quick look at today's. If anybody's familiar with what's been going on in the experimental branch, they might not have seen today. So we'll go through all of them. Fix an issue that could cause sentinels to fail to appear at autophase settlements during an attack. I haven't seen any attacks at all since the update, so I'm not sure if there's a bug or if they're just much more infrequent, which it does say in one of the patch notes or one of the release notes that they're less frequent, so I'm not sure. Fix an issue which required overseers of autophase settlements to scan more than once to reveal their cloaked settlers. When I claimed my autophage, it wasn't even doing this, so I haven't seen that behavior at all. Fix an issue which could cause sections of autophase settlements and certain base parts to appear partly invisible in Xbox. I've seen this being reported a lot on Reddit, so it's good to see they're finally addressing that. Fix an issue that could cause settlements to linger in the settlements register after retiring an overseer. There have been issues, again, quite basic issues if you're going to introduce ways to see our settlements register. There have been issues with that, but I haven't actually retired recently, so I didn't spot that one. Fix an issue that caused removing citizens from settlements to alter the maximum. We just talked about that. Fix an issue that could cause the settlement management system to display multiple active objectives in the mission log. I wonder if they've changed. I didn't see that behavior, I don't think. Fix an issue that could cause medium dwellings in settlements to generate without a terminal. I have heard of some people talking about that. I think that was to do with buildings that were just too close together, and so the terminal would be right next to another building, and it would think, oh, I can't put it there. Updated a number of NPC animations in settlement management decisions to be more appropriate to the outcome. Yeah, there have been a few things where they're giving you thumbs up when it should be thumbs down or not happy, and the opposite. Fix an issue that could cause an incorrect color or texture to be applied to base parts during base construction. Now, the first thing that I'm thinking there could be the upholstered chair, which was showing the same texture as the golden tables. So I'm hoping they fix that. We'll check that one out. Fix an issue that caused the squadron pilot user interface to close incorrectly. I don't really use squadrons. Certainly not on this save. I do on my other main save. Fixed a rare issue in Ghosts in the Machine, which caused the marker to the Corvax facility to be lost when playing in multiplayer. Well, I haven't been playing Ghosts in the Machine, so I wouldn't know. Fixed an issue in the space anomaly, which prevented priest entity Nada's dialogue from being registered as complete. That could be a pain. And then these are switch 2 ones. Prevented screenshots, UI overlap and clipping issues, implement support for terrain tessellation. That would be a big boost for Switch 2. And implemented support for fur rendering on Switch 2. Fix the crash that could occur on modded saves. So that's what they've been doing today. The first thing I want to check is if we turn off the browser. I'd like to see if they've fixed that upholstered chair. Hi, Gravnot. Oh, there's been a bit of activity in chat. Let's see what... Yeah, precisely. That's the kind of thing you were getting. It's like, you could send someone to prison and they'd be really happy. It's like, something's going wrong here. Right, let's have a look. See if we can actually build the upholstered chair on a freighter. I presume we can. I could remember where it is. I might not even have it on this save, actually. Oh, no, I do. There we go. No, still the wrong texture. That's the golden table texture. If we look at the golden table. I know it's not, it's the counter one, that's it. It's that texture. Can't quite see the red with the lighting in this room, but there's a red along the edge, which is that part there. I mean, it's quite a nice looking chair that way, but it's just not the right texture. So if that hasn't been fixed, I wonder if they have fixed the blurriness. We'll have to go to a planet for that. So, not settlements. Bases, any base will do. Probably that one would be better because we'll be able to see the colours better. Don't know what this base is. Ah, this is one of my staff bases. Right, so let's put down the wood's the most obvious for me. The other thing is that I noticed that some of these were incorrect. They look all right. They might have fixed it actually. Oh no, see that there stone wall top, that is not the correct building. The top, if we actually select it, that's the stone wall top. It's got a proper kind of crenellation along the edge, and that's nothing like it shows. Doesn't look like they've fixed the blurriness though. So this isn't showing the right base part. And I think the same happens here. No, that's correct. So it's just on the stone by the look of it. But I think I noticed it on a few of the other things as well. Yeah, look, that's not showing the right base part either. It seems to be consistently showing the first option as the last option. that one's the same as that one, for instance. So yeah, no, that's still blurry. That even looks worse, to be honest. Yeah, that's still blurry as well. So they haven't fixed the blurriness issues. I didn't think they would have. I think that's probably a lower priority thing, considering they're still fixing settlements, to be honest. I wouldn't necessarily expect them to be sorting that out. Might be a few little skips and frame jumps because this is a new experimental branch and it will be loading in new textures. But I've actually turned off my cache because that gives me a better idea if they've fixed things. And I don't really need a cache anyway. My graphics card can handle more texture than it can throw at it. So where are we going to go? What I want to do for this particular stream is find an infested planet, because they have introduced the lore. I'll show you again the what I've found. I don't know if I've even got an infested planet on my list, so we might have to find one, which isn't a bad thing because it's like a how to do this kind of video anyway. If we go back to the browser again, which is not showing now. Let's change to there, change that, and then do it again. Come on, why aren't you showing? Go through there, go back to there. Browser, there we go. So I think this was from the 16th. There we are. This interested me because I've been waiting for this ever since they put it back into the game. It's never worked. So somebody must have mentioned it again recently. I think I would have put a bug report in for this absolutely ages ago, years ago, I think. Fixed an issue that prevented Vile Spawn from dropping Wormskin Folios 2 to 5 and the Riving Manuscript, which is the stuff that was introduced in Emergence, was it? The worm-based expedition. And I was really excited when they put this into the game because it's like, oh, now elements of expeditions will be in the game. And they've done that ever since with other things, like, for instance, the bugs and the, what else? Actually, mainly the bugs. But this was something that is always promised, that we could go to the Vile Spawn and we could get the Wormskin Folios and read all of the lore. But it never worked. You only ever got the first one. So now I'm going to go and see if we can find the rest and demonstrate how that's done. So what we're going to have to do is find a... See, I just don't think that's the case. What I think has happened is that they've, just to read that out, in my opinion, this is switch to compatibility mode, blurriness. Let's see if they fix it at all. So you're kind of implying that they won't fix it. And I don't think that's actually what's going to happen. I suspect what's happening is they've introduced what they were hoping to be a much more stable release. Actually, I didn't see any flickering there. Did anybody see any flickering then? I think they've tried to introduce a much more stable release. It's got draw distances are reduced, and there's blurriness on some of the textures in settlements. And then I think they will try and bring it up to scratch. At least that's what I'm hoping is going on. Because like the ground cover draw distance, I could see the you can see the flicker there on the. We noticed the other day we could see flicker through the red. See some of the parts flicker or disappear, like just there when I pull it close, the stuff disappears, and then as soon as the red thing goes away, it pops back in again. So there's some kind of overlay issue going on where it gets rid of the parts, and you can almost see a slight flickeriness with as the weather effect drifts across the screen. It's very subtle though. I don't know if you catch that on the stream, but it's like some of the elements just kind of slightly fade out and fade back in again in a way that you wouldn't expect. So, but no flickering there. Let me go. The way to test this, I always think, is go to a settlement. Are you on the experimental branch, Graf? Not. I mean, I don't necessarily think that people should jump on the experimental branch unless they need to. But I like to do it just to kind of test what's going on and to keep an eye on. And then I will make bug reports if I see anything obvious that people might not have reported. Yeah, I didn't get any flickeriness there. So they might have fixed it for the ship. I haven't actually made a full bug. I haven't made a full bug report for this issue with the terrain manipulator. It's difficult to get that on the screen now. There we go. You can see it's despawning stuff. So I might, now that they might have sorted out the jumping in and out of the ship flickeriness, maybe I'll make a report on the overlay stuff. There's still reduced draw distance. You can see, because we're on a lush planet here, you can see where the line of the grass is popping in. And I upped my thing to maximum for planet. Let's get it off of that. And you can see that grass is only really spawning in, I would say, less than 50 yards. You can see it's just spawning in on the top of that hill, but not on the top of that one. And I think this is to do with making the game as stable as possible. And then they'll maybe try and address it later. We'll see. So yeah, what I've noticed is if you do what I just did, which is teleport into a settlement and then jump straight in your ship, that can almost immediately cause the flickering issue. And I didn't see it here, and I didn't see it when I went to my base. So they might have started to address some of it at least. Didn't mention it in the patch notes, but they don't always mention everything in the patch notes. So what I'm going to have to do is have a look through my discovery list and see if we can find any of the infested biomes. Again, I'll stay in just chatting for a bit because I'll pull up the browser again if I can. It seems a little bit reluctant today, but And we'll try and get that, and then we'll zoom out of that a bit. So this is the No Man's Sky wiki. The biome subtype infested. Let's pull that in. And these are the planets we'll be looking for on this table. So anything that says infested, like infested paradise, just infested across there for each of the different biomes. Worm-ridden, toxic horror, boiling doom, radioactive abomination, icy abhorrence, tainted, xenocolony, caustic nightmare, fiery dread world, mutated, frozen hell, infected dust bowl, the nest, corrupted, or terrasphere. So any of those, which I'll just have off to one side, so I'll check that list as we're looking through my discoveries. But if you haven't got any of those on your discovery list, then you're just going to have to go hunting from system to system. And I can't think of any way you could pin something, because technically they're just normal lush systems, or frozen or barren or whatever. And there's one for at least each of the main biomes. Let's turn the browser off and we'll go to normal play. Is flesh rope? We can have a look. I doubt it's pinnable. I've got them away, haven't I? I want materials and items. Exotic materials and items. Exotic goods. Not even seeing it. Curiosities. Oh, there we are. Pin unavailable. Pin unavailable. Arriving manuscript. That's the last part of the lore. Arriving manuscript. It's probably showing because I found it in other saves. Because I would have seen it, for instance, when we did the expedition. I can't think of anything else we could pin. Right, so let's have a look for our discovery list first. So most recent. Toxic, ruined, harsh blue globe. Infested, okay. Infested moon, that's quite quick. And so where was this? This is in Isentum. Don't have any bases there. Discovered 2 weeks ago. I'm in Isentum at the moment, so I might be near here. Is this in Isentum as well? No, that's Euclid. It's where my freighter is. That's handy. So we found it immediately by the look of it. We'll find out. We'll go there. I've had a terrible cough for the last few days. I had a streaming cold last week, towards the end of the week, which is why I hadn't streamed until now. So I apologize if I mute every now and again. Let's pin go into it. I haven't actually discovered the creatures here either. I've been getting so bad at clearing off the creatures. It's one of the things I always did, but there's been so many updates. I've been going from planet to planet, system to system, looking for new things, checking things out. I need to spend a good week or so just finding all of the animals on the systems I've recently visited. Getting flickering here, I see. It's so handy, the marking, because I wouldn't have been able to see this moon from where we were at all. Definitely one of the better quality of life improvements, I think. So it was hidden behind a planet, behind another planet. Right, so what we're looking for are those flora rather, that look a little bit like a living ship or a void egg. Can't see all of the flora. I can see these tendrily things. That's usually quite a positive sign. So not a nice planet though, is it? Let's see if we can actually see stuff on the surface. Well, it's looking promising. Horrible planet, but we are in the middle of an extreme storm. Visibility is terrible. While we're waiting for the storm to finish, we might as well get some of these creatures. I was watching an interesting video the other day. I don't know if any of you follow Obsidian Ant. He was making an interesting video about planetary environments and different games approach. I do feel like No Man's Sky is a very specific and quite unique approach to planetary environments. Right. Oh, it looks like the visibility is not great here. But that's the kind of thing we're looking for, that one over there. And as Gravnot was pointing out, you can usually just fly around and spot them across the top. Although I have my HUD so low, you can just see it at the very top of the screen up there. You can just see on my compass. Maybe I'll increase the HUD just to demonstrate. Where is it? Is it under accessibility? No, it must be general then. Nope. Displaying graphics. Nope. Camera. Anybody remember where the HUD is? Is it this one? It's not. Oh, it's because it's not showing the word. That should say HUD there. Anyway, we'll increase it for a second. I think that might be a bit too high. There. So you can now quite clearly see at the top of my screen on the compass. And if we were in our ship, the game sound is turned off. Okay, let's have a look. It shouldn't be. The music's turned off. Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe I've got it off in my settings. Hang on. I have some unusual settings for sound. Game. Yes, it is. Should be able to hear it now. Right, so if we were in our ship and we didn't know that there was one just there, we would be able to fly around and look at our compass. And we'd spot it. So we can see that one, for instance, here. And even if we can't spot it, see, it pops up when you get closer. But even if you were just flying along, you can see them popping up as we go past them. This one seems to have quite a few, so we're not going to lack for any of those. So if we spot one like that and then turn and find it, and right, we were just above it here. And you can see the spawn are already coming in. You can theoretically shoot these from the air, but it's a little bit trickier because depending how fast you're going and what kind of ship you're in. I guess if you had a hovering ship, it'd be a bit easier. Anyway, so let's put myself down because I don't really want to do it from the air anyway. And again, if you lose it, you can just look around and usually spot it on your HUD, although I must have landed slightly too far away from it because it's no longer on my compass. A general sense of direction suggests it's over here somewhere, but... Is that it? It seems to be hidden under the E. Yes, it is. At least there's one over there. Can't see it. But you can hardly see anything on this planet. Yeah, vile spawn killing is an excellent way of getting nanites. Although, in a permadeath save, you want to be making sure you've got decent shields before you start messing around with the vile spawn. This isn't kind of immediately start playing and go farming thing. After you, I am not particularly careful. In fact, I'm tempted to just bring my permadeath save to one of these and just see if it kills me, because I hardly ever play my overpowered permadeath save anyway. So it's like my gung-ho-ness against the spawn. So we're looking for the egg things that should have... Oops, there we go. Because this is how uncareful I am. So my shield's already been taking a bit of a knock there. And also, this isn't the ideal weapon, I don't think, but... shooting these things. Right, so where's the other spawn? We're mainly focused on the spawn. Those the egg protectors do kind of get in the way. Where's the egg gone? There it is. With the HUD on this high, it makes it feel like they're all around me. I'm not used to the HUD being quite this prominent. So I seem to have got that one. So just get away from these creatures for a second and we'll look in our inventory and see if we actually got anything. Yeah, so we got the Worm Folio 2. Now, I would have got the Worm Folio 1 the first time I ever attacked these. These can be ground down for nanites. Actually, I took a bit of damage there, look. Both of these can be ground down for nanites. They can also be used in cooking. I know the flesh rope can. I'm not sure about the vile spawn. I can't remember. Will be down the bottom, won't it? Because they inverted this stupid thing. So one flesh rope is 50. And one vile spawn, I think, is also, yep, also 50. I have a feeling you can theoretically turn the flesh rope into something that Kronos would pay more than 54 on average. So basically, once you've got the first folio, you can just rinse and repeat on this. So what I'll do next is I'll get back to my ship first, and then we'll just have a look at the folios themselves. Let's see if we should be in the right, because this is where our freighter was, so we can just look, see if we can find it. See, this is flickering quite badly still as well. There. So during the emergence expedition, we basically built up a story, and it started with the Wormskin Folio. Let's look at each of the things to start with. So we'll start with the vile spawn. The fragile embryo of a hungering tendril, still dripping with mucal butter. It wails and recoils when touched. May be extracted from embryotic sacs with the aid of A. It seems to be missing some of its description. That might be worth a bug report. The coiled remains of a hungering tendril's digestive tract. Though its meaty walls still convulse, there is surely no way for a fresh tendril to regrow from these meagre scraps. That sounds like hope. Such specialist offal is rarely traded on the Galactic Exchange. As you can see, it's worth 32,000 units, and that one's only worth 16 units. So this is more valuable. And then you have the Wormskin Folio Part 1. So once you've defeated all of those vile spawn, we get this. Ancient words are carved into this living document. The Worm Lord towers above the dusty earth. Its flesh becomes the sky. Our pathetic shells cannot follow, cannot reach its height, cannot reach its depths. We offer ourselves to the ground. So it's the beginning of what sounds like a description of a religion. So they're talking about it as the Worm Lord and how it towers above and its flesh becomes the sky. So it's like evoking in a poetic way the way that it's kind of flies over us. We offer ourselves to the ground, suggesting some kind of ritual. And then Wormskin Folio 2. The dust was choking, our eyes reddened and watered, but the truth was inescapable. Now that sounds like the beginning of a short story. So we'll see as that. I haven't read these for quite a while, so let's turn that HUD down a bit now we know how that works. Where was it again? Accessibility. Maybe put it to 60 so you can just about see it. Right, now there was one near us because I could see as I approached my ship, but it keeps flashing out, so I must be just on the edge of it. Got horrible weather again. No, not spotting it. Let's find it by flying. I'm actually finding it difficult to even spot the ground. It says crashing into the ground. Let's get to the sunny side of this moon, if there is a sunny side to the moon.
Extreme night temperature detected.
You might actually be able to see something then. Not all infested planets will be this stormy.
Weather update. Storm clearing.
That's good because we can hardly see anything even on the sunny side. They are a little bit creepy, I would agree, Alphas. They're not the most welcoming of planets. I quite like them. So I just spotted one there. Where is it? A couple this way. There we are. These are quite handily close to each other. It's probably sometimes easier to just kind of stand at a distance and then watch the thing fall, see where it is, go straight to it, and then come out again. That one's not rendered in quite the right spot, has it? It's in the air on the top of that plant. There's two. One's gone that way. One went the other way. I don't think they hang around forever. Sometimes spot them scanning. Might have disappeared already. Oh, there he is. Oh, that's handy.
Extreme temperature detected.
I remember on a permadev save when these egg protecting monstrosity things were overpowered for a while. They were overpowered for quite a few months, actually, where they would just be able to headbutt you or give headbutting damage even when they were just in line of sight but about 100 yards away. I remember getting caught on my permadev save in a cave, desperately trying to shoot them as they were coming into the cave because I was kind of not able to repair myself. I was getting more and more likely to die. I just about survived. And all because these things had cropped up right next to my base. They hadn't been there before. And they suddenly decided they would spawn next to my base. So I teleported in and they were instantly attacking me. Where's the other one? I can't even... I can hear them. Yeah, there it is. Fell down this way somewhere. Where do they go? Can't see them at all. Yeah, I might have lost those. There's a grave mark here too. I don't think we have to collect the parts. I think we just have to defeat, so we'll find out. We just have to shoot these. I got this folio, whatever happened.
Thermal protection falling.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer an infested Lush Planet right now. I think I'd prefer an infested Paradise right now. Because this planet is a bit of a hellhole. But beggars can't be choosers. This is the one we found. Coming through the ground at me. I think they've despawned now. Yep. So we can safely read the next part. We've got a couple here. Two. So, Wormskin Folio 3. Now with every storm we beg to be chosen. Arms to the sky, faces to the dirt, calling out with all we have when when heavy raindrops hit the earth, the veins of Atlas answer. Veins of Atlas, that's interesting. We tumble as it swallows, but grip the slick walls as best we can. Oh, to reach the gizzard still awake, breathe it deeply. How our lungs gurgle, the slime clogs our noses and stings our eyes. So they're clearly a death cult that actually wants to be devoured by the worm. Very, very spooky and weird. Yeah. Where's my ship? Over there. I believe we only need one more. It doesn't take long to get these. It's just we haven't been able to get them until this experimental patch. So update will be coming. It sounds a bit like Vogon poetry. Can't be that boring. Maybe it's just my delivery. I should have gone to that Traveler's Grave, but I didn't. Probably because I've got a bit of a blocked up nose that it sounds like Vogon poetry. You can see the hungering tendrils. We scanned for them. If they don't immediately pop up, you know roughly where to look. So that one's 64, that one's 86, and that one's 56. So this one's the closest. There it is. Oh, that one went flying. Got it. As it flew over my shoulder. Hey! They don't seem to do as much damage as you think they would if they do strike you, which I think so. There we have the last part, which is the Riving Manuscript. And that's all. That's all you need to do to get all of the lore. Curse the agony of regurgitation. Curse this feeble flesh that still confines me. My brethren were reborn, rising from the blessed dust as fresh tendrils, glistening capillaries to the great veins, slithering away into the... I wonder if that's cut off as well. It certainly feels like that's not full. I can't scroll. It scrolls the whole thing. And then the... Hang on, I might cough a second. Let's get that thermal protection thing off the screen. And then the last part, a translucent sheet of worm vellum inscribed with a fanatical text. It writhes when touched. The children were the first to notice a thump, thump, thump thundering deep below the sand. That sounds very Dune-like. The first worm split the sky like black lightning as it leapt overhead. Worm by worm they rose from the desert, migrating. Every storm season, we hope to be chosen. We arrange ourselves in lines across the desert, arms lifted to the sky. So they're literally wanting to be eaten as the worm comes along. I mean, yeah, the Viking are a bit of a death cult after all. What would be nice is if after completing that, we got the worm head that we got from the expedition. But I doubt they'd do it because it was an expedition reward. But maybe I'll demonstrate what that looks like for those that haven't seen the expedition.
Extreme night temperature detected.
I might also check that one that seemed to be cut off and see if there's some text that's available elsewhere, maybe in the collected knowledge. Probably be under journey. Emergence. There we go. Yeah, we'll read through that again in a bit because it looks like there's a few bits that were missed off in the description, so we'll come back to that. As someone that likes to collect all of the lore, at least in my original save, which this isn't, I was really frustrated that I couldn't complete this lore. So I'm happy to see this back. Well, not back. I mean, it hasn't actually been we haven't been able to get all of them at all since the expedition. For some reason, you could only ever get the first one. These are far too big, these freighters. I didn't even want one. I just see the lore as one of those things that you have to be a completist. Right, so let's have a look at the visage we got from the expedition. So that one? No, that's much later on. Yeah. Not that one. Would have been after that one. Maybe they're not in the order you'd expect. I wonder if it's is it Viking specific by any chance? Possibly. Nope, none of those. Or was this? Ah, there we are. It's Viking specific. Feasting cask. I don't actually want to save changes. No, let's make sure my current setting is one of the saves. It should be this one. Then we'll go back to race, Viking, head, 11. Save it as number 2. We really need more of these saves now. We've got so many things we can look like. Let's go to a better planet for this. Yeah, on my normal save, my oldest save that I've been playing forever, I have all the lore apart from all of the derelict freighter lore, because that's really hard to gather. And I'm pretty sure I visited all of them before they introduced the lore pages. But when they introduced the lore pages, they were mostly empty, unless they were to do with a storyline. Second. So this is blue. You get the idea. There's different colors and patterns, I think. It's rather nasty, grotesque looking helmet. But presumably this was something that the people in the death cult actually wore. Shove that on your head. Back to here. Change myself back. There we go. So let's take a look at, let's make a quick save. Let's take a look at the lore in more detail just to get those bits that were cut off. Collected knowledge. Journey records. Emergence. Okay, right, so Writhing manuscript, a translucent sheet of worm vellum inscribed with a fanatical text. It writhes when touched. The children were the first to notice. A thump, 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 thundering deep below the sand. The first worms split the sky like black lightning as it leapt overhead. Worm by worm, they rose from the desert, migrating. Every storm season, we hope to be chosen. This is the last part I got. Every storm season, we hope to be chosen. We arrange ourselves in lines across the desert, arms lifted to the sky. Anyone may enter the maw. We are all equal under the great worms. So it's like death being the great equalizer, or this form of death. That's an interesting philosophy or theology. So we get the Writhing manuscript first, which is interesting. We definitely didn't see those last two bits. Isn't that not scrolling? That's better. Wormskin Folio 1. The ancient words are carved into this living document. They read, "The worm lord towers above the dusty earth. Its flesh becomes the sky. Our pathetic shells cannot follow, cannot reach its height, cannot reach its depths." This is new bit. "We offer ourselves to the ground. We beg our sacrifice accepted." The dust was choking. Our eyes reddened and watered, but the truth was inescapable. The veins of the Atlas had surfaced. It's interesting because the Atlas is not usually a Viking belief system, unless you're in the is it Hurik or Someone remind me which one is the heresy? Is it Herik or is it Nal? Anyway. Now with every storm we beg to be chosen. Arms to the sky, faces to the dirt, calling out with all we have. When heavy raindrops hit the earth, the veins of the atlas answer. The rapture of our consumption is beyond words. So that implies with the rapture of our consumption that they go somewhere beyond once being consumed. We tumble as it swallows, but grip the slick walls as best we can. So they're kind of trying almost to stay alive as long as possible to feel the death. Oh, to reach the gizzard still awake. Yeah, so they want to get all the way to the stomach. Or gizzard's not quite stomach. They want to get as low as possible while still experiencing it. Breathe it deeply, how our lungs gurgle. The slime clogs our noses and stings our eyes. Though in this warm darkness we are already blind. Well, yes. The curse the agony of regurgitation. That would be the worst thing, I presume, but actually being kicked back up. Curse this feeble flesh that still confines me. My brethren were reborn, rising from the blessed dust as fresh tendrils. So this person who has written the document has been regurgitated, which they consider a curse because they weren't killed by the worm. But their brethren were reborn, rising from the blessed dust as fresh tendrils. So the idea here being that by being eaten, they will turn into the tendrils themselves, i.e. they will be reborn in the life cycle of the worm. If that's true, that would be very interesting, that the actual life cycle is being recontinued through Vy'keen throwing themselves into the worm in a weird death cult. Maybe it is. Maybe that's why we're seeing more and more infested. Well, when the infested planets first came along, maybe this was the reason that we suddenly got all of the worm spawn. Yeah, quite interesting. I hadn't read that for so long, and I don't think I'd managed to read all the bits of it properly because beforehand it used to be cutting bits off in the description. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I deliberately didn't read it when I was testing it the other day in my other save. And I really like the lore in No Man's Sky. I like the way that it has that horror element, that kind of twists, that Lovecraftian kind of idea of strangeness. So that's that done. So maybe what I'll do now is have a look at my original save and show you what we've got with a fully developed set of settlements. The Worm Folio still seems short. There is a leading but no ending. Worm Folio 5, okay. It's just that there's not much to that one, really. I would say that does complete the story because it tells us the life cycle of the worm in a similar way to the in the novel of Dune. Part of it is about discovering the life cycle of the worms, which you get from the from Keynes, the planetologist, who has the full realization as being eaten by a worm. So they're kind of being true to the novel in that respect. Not that being eaten is part of the life cycle of the worm in June. And I don't really want to give any spoilers for the later books. Slight choppiness. I guess there always was slight choppiness in this freighter. Right, so let's go to my various... One thing, while I was coughing all the time, at least I could still get into the game and just kind of push my settlements. Especially, I feel like this update is a very what's the word? Portable, almost mini game friendly update. So it kind of makes sense that it came out with the Switch 2 release, being able to come into our settlements, upgrade the settlements. So this settlement is my original settlement, which we managed to get to S class now. And despite it not giving me extra people properly, it did manage to get up to 135. So that's pushed it into the green area that allowed me to get an S class. Happiness is above 100. So obviously the happiness quotient is not based on 100%. It's not like everybody is happy. It must be higher than that. It must be everybody is happy at, say, a particular percentage. Productivity is over 1 million higher than the maintenance costs, but I haven't managed to completely get rid of maintenance costs. We're still having this issue. If I... Let's put this here. In this particular save, in this specific settlement, I don't have any factories, but for some reason, I can still get the top industrial building, but it takes 24 days. Now, I suspect if I had a factory, that would be a lot shorter, but something in this settlement is giving me the ability to at least try and make it. But I'm still not quite sure why it's showing 24 days. It seems a massive jump from the A-class 4 days. It's a very odd amount of time. It feels bugged. It feels wrong. But it feels wrong that I can even make any industrial stuff when I don't have any factories on this entire settlement. This is the new thing. You can see what class things are. I managed to upgrade all of these buildings to S class now. And what that also tells us, because I wasn't looking at dwellings until later, because I wasn't focused on happiness, and productivity doesn't change on dwellings, you get +9 happiness for an S-class palatial dwelling. So that's your best way of getting happiness. I would just recommend getting happiness after you've got all your productivity. I do wonder if something has changed here since, if we've now got a factory. Whether it wasn't showing properly before, but I doubt it. Specialist market, sleep pod, living unit, sleep pod, nutrition, habitation, overseer, palatial dwelling, leisure facility, palatial dwelling, oxygen purifier, wireless distribution hub, biological facility. No, I haven't got a factory. Oh, I've been missing some of the chat. These lines are missing. So this should be from the 5th folio, you reckon? Glistening capillaries to the great veins slithering away into the sand. I will be patient until the next storm. That makes sense. It does seem to continue the story. I haven't got my freighter in here. I've got them on this save as well. They're probably taking that from the game files. The Ender Saga has something similar. A species that dies in order to be reborn as trees. Lovely. Never actually read the Ender stuff. Let's have a quick look. Because if it's not showing all of the lore in the journey records, that's something we should probably report. Keep doing that. Collected knowledge, journey records. I want to go to the second page, but I keep hitting the wrong button. Collected knowledge, journey records. That's it. Yeah, it's not got the end quote, has it? These have all got the end quote. The fifth one hasn't. It just cuts off. So yeah, that's probably where that last bit should be after there and then close the quote. And it also doesn't have a chevron at the bottom. Well, not really a chevron. I always call it a chevron. I'm not sure why. But it doesn't have... At the end of a particular piece of lore, I'm trying to think what's a good example. Streams of the Deep, that should be a good example. No, that isn't a good example because it doesn't have the ending. It just has the recording continued, but... We look at the planetary archives. That's not a good example either because it just stops. There's still a problem here where it suddenly changes from... If you look on the right, just underneath here, it suddenly changes from a small to large, and you miss a bit and you have to kind of scroll around to find it. You really need to fix that too. I'm trying to find an example. What would be a good example? Base computer archives. That's not a good example. Usually it ends in 3 of these. No, that one's not going to end in them either. So it's calling me a liar. It used to be the best way to tell if you'd finished a particular lore list. None of them are showing them now. There we have it. So if it's just like a list, like these unknown graves, it should end with 3 of these, what I would often call chevrons, but I guess they're diamonds. So I'd expect to see that at the end. That one's not going to show one. That one's not going to show. There seems to be only certain ones have them now. I don't know why. That used to be a really good way of telling. And none of them have got them now. No. So either way, I think it sounds like we need to put in a bug report for Journey Records, Emergence, Wormskin Folio 5 doesn't have the complete quote. I really like the lore, but haven't gotten around to hunting it actively. It's one of those end game things, I think. It's like when you've done everything else. Like the one that I haven't completed yet is collected knowledge. Journey, is it under journey or other history? Freighter, derelict freighter. This is the one I haven't completed yet. And I've got a list of them that I'm ticking them off from. But the problem was I had to revert this save. So I had quite a lot more. And I'm going to have to do them all over again. So each time you go to a derelict, you get the story from the derelict saved in your lore. And there are quite a few of them. I can't remember how many off the top of my head, but I think there's at least 4 for each race, perhaps, and a couple of others. And you only get a certain amount of lore in each region, so you have to travel to different regions. And then once you've got most of them, finding a region that has a new one you haven't seen before becomes quite frustrating. Anyway, let's get back to looking at my settlements. So this was... let's go to that one next. We'll go to the autophage one last, because that's got one of those newer types of buildings. This is my frozen one. We've got a pond. Now this is very cramped here. So I come straight out of the door and I've immediately got a building right there and a pond right here next to my entrance. But I haven't actually got this completely up to S yet. What I haven't checked is to see if we can now throw something back. So let's just quickly catch something. Got the magpulse lure. That's not really what I want in there, is it? I still never managed to catch a stormfish. I don't think that works. So it's currently at A, so you'd expect to get B and above. So let's see if we can actually throw that back. No. What I did find is that you can get the... what's it called? The one that gives you the helmet. Child of Aquarius, is it? You can get that quite easily from this pond once it's on the S-class level. I've got about 3 of them, and I hardly ever saw those before. And I don't know if that's just its location in that particular... it wasn't this pond, it was the one in the other settlement. And some of these things can be very location-based, but it's worth checking out. It's almost worth upgrading this to the B, or A rather, so look where it is now. Fishing and getting loads of the B if you haven't got your fishing catalogue. And then once you've got the B for this particular area, for this biome, then upgrading, and then it will just focus on A and S. Boundary failure lore is one of the most interesting, I always think. Planetary archives, I think, are the most interesting. I really love the planetary archive lore. And you can get most of those on just 3 planets. Just go to one planet each, or at least a system. I might do that again at some point. Just I can't remember if I've done it on this save. If I haven't done it on this save, I might take this save through. Might just do a stream where we just do that. No, I have done it on this save. But I probably haven't done it on the Titan save, so maybe I'll do it on that one at some point. Because I really like that lore, and I like discussing it and musing on it. Right, no, I'm not going to update that. I'm going to do what I just said. I'm going to fish that. Because this save doesn't have all of the fish, so might be a quicker way of getting the fish catalogue done for the frozen. Actually, what else is in this save? Let's have a look. It hasn't expanded fully. It's only that market is new. That infrastructure building is new. That's a factory. That pond is new. And over there, there's a starport. That's new. I think the rest of them were already here when I got here. Interestingly, with the update, with the experimental, we now have a starship fabricator, which we can't access when we've got our own ship there. But if somebody else lands there and we access it, then they immediately take off. So we can now build ships. And what I like about this is that I'm on a frozen world. So I can now build a ship and actually see what it's going to look like, because frozen worlds have much better lighting. So if I go into photo mode for a second, we've got a nice blue sky, so it's quite a neutral environment. The light is usually quite stark. And I can't demonstrate it right now because I haven't got any building parts for ships. But it would mean that for someone that really likes building ships, finding a settlement on a frozen world would be absolutely ideal. And also the point is off center here, so we can look closely and also look further away, so we can get a better idea of what our ships will look like. They're usually symmetrical. I think they're all symmetrical. So you can look from a distance here, and you can look close up on the nose. You can look close up on the sides. It's slightly overly sensitive. Maybe it's easier on a mouse. Yeah, you can use the mouse wheels. It's a little bit better because I can go in increments on my mouse. So I actually really quite like the fact that it's offset. I hope they don't fix that, because it gives us the option to really look in close and from a distance. And also, as I say, on a frozen planet, actually being able to see the colors as they are most neutrally represented. So I really like that they've introduced the Starship Fabricator. Again, coming to a patch near you if they haven't dropped this patch already. I'm just double checking. Let's have a quick look in my browser and see if they haven't dropped it yet. Sky.com. Release log. No, they haven't dropped it yet. But I suspect it'll be dropping some point this weekend. So if you're not in the experimental branch, you won't be able to do that yet, basically. Let's check out the other. So Diplo Ridge, this is my golden planet. And that last one was an A class now. It has been limited by not getting the proper population growth. So this is also A class now. Population 95 max, because the max kept going up until this new patch. So none of these populations were going up properly, except when it was naturally growing with those little arrows that come up here. Happiness isn't quite there yet. Productivity is doing quite well. Oh, got caught. And this one's developing quite nicely. I haven't got the starport yet. It will probably be there where the ship is. Another factory. Every one apart from my original save that was already there had factories. All of these buildings are S-class apart from this infrastructure that is being built at the moment. So that might be S now. You can see being ill and having nothing to do is an ideal way to play this game. If you just want to grind your settlements, it's like pop in every hour, see what you can do, then carry on doing what you were doing. Which is why it feels to me very much like a mobile game. It's like you can, and it always did right from the beginning when they first ever introduced settlements. It felt a little bit like a mobile game. I think I might have mentioned that when I was talking about whether they were ever going to upgrade them. I'm not going to actually do anything with them at the moment. And then last but not least, the autophage settlement. And for those of you that haven't really been watching other people's streams for settlements, this has got a nice new building, which I'll quickly show you. I know other people have seen these on streams as well. When I first saw it, I'd never seen it at all. And that's this new crane. Which has a constant animation. This opens, it picks up a parcel, lifts it, puts it here and drops it through that hole, which also opens. Which is really nice. It's very cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do anything. It'd be nice if they could think of an actual function, a bit like the tower has multiple functions. Some kind of productivity function. It's a really, really nice building. You can see it opens up, picks up a thing, brings it over here, puts it in the slot, and then does the same thing over and over again. Makes no logical sense. But it's a nice animation. Scratch your Proto-Gex back. There could be just some production thing it could do. So when we came to the terminal, we could actually do something with it. A bit like on the tower. You pick up Gex. Punishment for Gex. This is working now in the experimental branch. We can't just walk through this. It's a really, really nice central building. And I really like that fact that it's almost like the settlement is itself an Atlantid or an autophage. It says Heart of Atlantid. It's like that particular NPC, which is static, is just sitting there as part of the building. And this one is also at A class, and it was also being limited a bit by not being able to grow its population very fast. But again, productivity is pretty high. Happiness is reasonably good. It's not quite in the proper green yet. It's in like the not quite green lime color. So yeah, I'm reasonably happy with settlements and the way they've worked. And I've always felt like they were a great new platform that could really be used further. And I think with, say, the tower stuff and the pool, the fact that we can get various things from them. If you haven't been to an autophase settlement, these animations on these things, they're not actually buildings, but I think they're supposed to represent like the anti-sentinel devices. I don't think it has a name. No. And these facilities have these again, they're not functional, they don't do anything, but they just have these things, a bit like Borg, kind of implying that the habitations they just sleep in these stand-up pod things, which I think is also a build part. And these are build parts. These they're almost like the equivalent of lampposts. Two of them just kind of going zzz. Maybe you could feed it animals and it would give you better higher yield products. You could just like put in food products and it would package them. It could package things. I can't think how that would work. Maybe you could put in old modules and actually make the what they called the suspicious goods packages that you could then give to people. So I'm not in my freighter area, but you can either put package modules in, or actually that would be a good way of using up old package modules that because you can never get full nanite value for them, and you kind of hang on to them just in case you want to put them in something else. And when you finally think, oh, I'm not going to ever use that again, the only thing you can do is just install it and scrap it. Whereas here you could put your you could come up to this thing, put in your package modules and turn it into something else. These pink highlights on the autophage buildings match the lights on the pirate dreadnought, do they? I thought the pirate dreadnought was more red than these. Got a similar glow though, I suppose. I like the way that these parts have these tubes also on the building parts. Is this a factory or a farm? It's a farm. So yeah, I think I showed this already, but yeah, this one's ticking along quite nicely, but it's been limited with this population problem. So that should be fixed now with the upcoming patch. Something else I was gonna... What was it? Oh, I know what it was. Also, while I wasn't feeling very well, I I built this. It does seem like the timers are a bit weird. It doesn't bother me that much because settlements were never highly productive. But that thing about having 24 days on the other one, that just is very odd. I don't think it's that bad for a day for glass. I don't think that's that bad. It's a bit odd. But yeah, the timers just seem a bit weird in general. So here we are on a gas giant. And because in these settlements we need to mine certain things, this one had a... this one's got a hotspot for... what's this one? Crystallized helium. Which is, I positioned it between... well, I positioned it near there. And then I realised I could put these down and get some methane. So I could put fuel in there and get methane. And then I also realised that there was another hotspot way over there. So I dragged a pipeline down via my electrical area, across this huge pond, and to be honest, right now the build system is not quite playing ball with these things. So this took longer than it should have done on a nasty planet.
Extreme temperature detected.
Some of the connections just only work in some directions and not others, for instance, which is weird. As you can see, it's quite a way. And we finally get to my activated quartzite. And so that's 700 odd? Or was it 800 odd? Let's actually stand on the 829 U's, so not maximum, but it was far enough on this hellhole of a planet. Yeah, there's definitely something odd going on with electrical connections in general. And they're not... I've noticed before that they don't always show. So, for instance, there is a wire here. Actually, I probably got the wire thing. If I go into build, it probably is showing. Yeah, so the wires are showing. But see that wire there? Oh no, that's going up to there and then along there. That's fine. But they're not always showing. And it gets very frustrating because you'll drag a wire from one point to another and try and connect it to a base part, and it just will show red for no reason. And if you do it the other way around from the base part to the wire point, it will work.
Extreme temperature detected.
I think what they've tried to do is give direction to the wires. So if we for instance, actually, I don't need that part anymore. You can tell I was not feeling very well and was a bit bored because I actually put in a door that opened and shut, which I would never bother to do normally. We pick up some wiring in the storm. Let's do that from in here. We drag that from here to that point. See, it's trying to show a direction of the wire, but it's just getting the wire point wrong. So in a way, it is actually quite useful. But in another way, it kind of messes things up a bit. So if I connect that, and then we've got that wire point selected and I hit rotate, it will rotate very clearly as to which wire we're using. But then it won't always get all of them. So for instance, I'm not showing the direction of this wire unless I go there. And then that's probably this one's points. So it only seems to do it on one end of the wire. So I don't know, it's like, whatever they were trying to do, they haven't done it properly. And it also is very inconsistent. Also, there's mist inside the building on these gas giants, which I think is a bit odd. So what I tend to do with my supply things is I usually build a depot inside the building, coming off the side like that. So if I go outside and look at it, I kind of lie them down and point them into the building, so they almost become like terminals inside. That's my favorite way of having them. So they're like circles on the inside of the building. And then for some reason you can't access them from a distance, even though it suggests that I could hit X there. I have to go quite close to it to do it. So now I've got a nice safe place. And then our last part here is you can probably going to have to go all the way through to get them. But the two parts combine. Let's put them in my ship. That'll be easiest. My ship's got space. Yes, it has. So, crystallized helium and activated quartzite. Crystallized helium. Activated quartzite. They combine to make lithium, so I don't need to worry about lithium either. I think there's also a quite simple methane recipe using lithium. But we don't need that because we've got the methane outside. So that helps with building up your settlements because it's always asking for these gas giant products. So having a mine, which admittedly is a bit of a chore, putting a large refiner in the mine, having the two main products, activated's better because if it ever asks for activated, you've at least got it, and you can always turn that into normal quartzite by mixing it down to what's it called? You can switch between the two of them anyway. I don't know if I can show you. There's a bug, or there was a bug with the recipe lists. So you can make activated quartzite from quartzite. And they did this specifically because you could end up in that very first planet on the purple system storyline. And you could end up in the wrong place to get quartzite. You could have all of the planets in that system might have been activated quartzite. So they needed to be able to, or might have just been quartzite with no storms, no activated quartzite. So they had to make a way of actually turning one into the other. And then obviously, if you can get a hold of a small amount of quartzite, you can always turn it in with chromatic metal. But it's not allowing me to show all recipes on any of these at the moment. It's a bit of a bug. So like I can't do show all recipes for pure ferrite, even though I know more than one recipe. So yeah, so it's worth building a mine if you can be bothered, rather than keep having to come back to these places and re-mining over and over again. And there's always buildings in these settlements that require some of these things. That's probably all I'm going to focus on today. Ah, we're getting flickering here, look. So there are still flickering bugs coming and jumping in your ship. Just depends on the kind of assets, but perhaps. So they haven't fixed that fully. Some people said that they'd fixed it with the new NVIDIA update. It's like, well, the new NVIDIA update is only for NVIDIA cards, obviously. And it's been happening on all sorts of graphics cards. As far as I can work out, every graphics card has been having this problem. Are lithium hotspots a thing? I believe so. They'd only be on water planets. I don't know if I've got a water planet in this save, because I haven't been to many purple systems on this save. Probably have to go to my other save. We can find out. Let's have a look. You can make it. Don't know if I've got a base on a water planet or not. Oh, no, I should have. Yeah, diving bell. There we go. Whoa, just fell through the hole. Wasn't looking where I was going.
Extreme water temperature detected.
Would lithium be a mineral, I presume? Let's find out what this one is. I do like the sounds in these places. Just went off with the hotspot. That's quartzite. So probably have to go quite a way away. Let's use a sub. Still got the hotspot there. Have to go further than that. Using stereo.
Life support power low.
That's exactly the opposite direction. So that higher pitched noise means it's in this direction, and you can zoom in on it by listening to the stereo. Because I've got headphones on, then I can tell if it's right or left of where I'm looking, and then you have to zero in on it and wait for the sound. Picked up the hotspot now. Yeah, The Abyss wasn't a bad movie. It was a bit odd, though.
Suit power cells depleted. Technology recharged. Technology recharged. Technology recharged.
Welcome back, Ignition. There's another underwater movie with an alien device where they send 4 dudes. I have seen another underwater. I can't think what it would have been. I've been watching the this is also quartzite. I'm not sure if lithium's a hotspot. I would imagine it is. Been watching the Predator movies recently. I mean, some of them aren't great. But, in fact, I would say that none of the Predator movies are absolutely great. What's that French movie about the deep, the depth divers? They just dive down and get to the maximum depth. That's an excellent movie. I think that's the thing about Predator, is that the idea of them and the lore of them are better than the movies. The movies aren't great, whereas you can't say that about Alien, but at least 2 of the Alien movies are excellent. Alien and Aliens. It starts to drift from there, but not a fan of Romulus, which doesn't bode well for the new TV series. See, I didn't watch the first Predator movie when it first came out. Sphere, 1998. Is that the other underwater science fiction movie? In fact, I quite like, of all of the Predator movies, I kind of quite like the one on Earth, the second Predator movie, more than the first one almost. And that's probably sacrilege, but at least it had a bit more going on. Whereas every other Predator movie has been a little bit samey. Although I did like Prey. I really like Prey, actually. It's one of those how to write good examples. It's a little bit too much like an essay in how to write good, but Silver, that's not good either. Yeah, Sharon Stone sounds familiar. I probably have seen that movie. So I was watching the newer Predator thing, the cartoon movie, Killer of Killers, is it? And I wasn't super impressed with it. I mean, it is an animated movie that you often think they're not going to be the best movies. If it was going to be an excellent plot line, they would have made it into a live action. But the third animation sequence with the Second World War, was it? Or was it First World War? Whichever. Probably first, actually. No, it must be second. The aeroplane animation sequences are absolutely brilliant. The rest of the movie's a bit, but that particular set of sequences, the sequence where he's fighting an alien spaceship with his aeroplane, really, really good. Lithium. There you go. We have answered the question. Yes, there are lithium hotspots. I don't know how far away this is from my base, whether it's actually worth... I can't even see my base. It's not even showing on my... Why is it not showing on my thing at all? That's over there. As soon as I go into scan, the base disappears, but I guess it doesn't have to be. So we're 7.17 minutes. I think that's too far away. It was just a question. Alpha's asked, can you get lithium hotspots? I'm not sure if settlements ask for lithium, but I thought, well, I can test it because I was pretty much rounding up. I was just showing my gas giant base that has the activated quartzite, crystallized helium, and the ability to get methane. And I was saying you could get lithium if you wanted to by using refining. But then we were just wondering if there were lithium hotspots, which I presumed there were, but I hadn't ever looked for one. I mean, I could go through all the different recipes if it wasn't for the fact that the recipe page is broken and we can't click on show all recipes at the moment. This is a really weird way to stream, just swimming through darkness. really visually engaging thing to do. Maybe I should jump in a sub again. I do like the atmosphere down here, though. That's what we need. We need a use for these. For the, what's it called? Something glass.
Suit power cells depleted.
Sea glass. Got some nice bathysphere. Is that bathysphere? No, it's not a bathysphere, is it? Anyway, old style diving helmets. Is that a bathysphere?
Life support offline. Technology recharge.
And these lovely large ammonite things. So yeah, it's a nice underwater planet. How far away are we? Still too far away. Yeah, bathysphere sounded right. Yeah, they are underwater storm crystals, but we can't do anything with them. It'd be nice if we could do something with them. I mean, storm crystals do have a reason to exist other than just to sell them. Because you can build... you can build the warp hypercore. So maybe they've got something in mind for them that they haven't implemented yet. I don't know. Oh, I thought I had a save point up here. I guess this will do for my save point. So, I mean, that's probably all I'm going to do today. We had a look at the... We had a look at the knowledge for the emergence, which we now have the ability to get the Wormskin Folios, and we read through that. Well, we had a look at how my settlement's getting on, and we went to my gas giant planet, which we'll just finish up on, I guess, because I'll probably have to go there at some point anyway. Oh no, that was on a different save, so I can't go there. So I went to my gas giant planet and showed you how I get the various bits that you might need for your settlement. And just towards the end here, we just double-checked whether you could get lithium hotspots underwater, which you can. Is that somebody else's? Oh no, that's mine. They're my other things on this system. And so I will probably round up there. Thanks for watching. Travel well, and goodbye for now.